Hi. Hello.
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 Hello and welcome to Architecting.
Thanks for joining. I have a really good friend who used to work for you a while ago, and so I tried to stir up some stories or some dirt, but he hasn't texted me back yet. But Andrew Robertson would have been a while ago.
That was a while back.
Yeah. But
okay.
we were really. He was in my wedding. He was a really close friend in undergrad, and I remember when he moved out to LA, and it was probably pretty close to the recession, and had a real hard time finding a job, and then landed with you guys and really enjoyed it. So I've been looking forward to meeting you. I do want to dive into the talk, but let's get a little background first. So where are you guys from? So where did you grow up? Hank?
Melbourne, Australia. We both grew up Melbourne, Australia.
Nice.
And believe it or not, met first day of undergraduate architecture.
Really?
Yes.
Just love it for.
Yeah. Well, I know.
You want to know what he was wearing? You should.
Yes. Tell me.
He was wearing a black motorcycle boots. His hair was down to here, and he had a gold tooth.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Ladies.
And
Wow.
oh no, and a broken arm.
And a broken arm. I forgot that.
Oh, because the motorcycle went over the cliff.
Yeah.
But not the tooth wasn't from the.
No. That was
That was
previous.
another accident.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man. And I'm also married to an architect, and we met in undergrad. But it took me four years until I could finally convince her to date me.
Oh.
And I had that same kind of thing in first year of undergrad. I cut myself. There was two girls in the class where I was like, ooh, these two are
nice.
If I could get one of them, this would be nice. And I cut myself really bad. And
X-Acto knife.
X-Acto, yep. And I was like, let's play this up a little bit. It hurts. And one looked at me and said like, he'll be fine. The other one came over and said, oh, are you okay? Here, let me help. And I started dating her. And the other one was my wife now. So, so it took a little while, but yeah. Was architecture undergrad for both of you? Like, yes, I want to be an architect, or did he kind of land into that after the motorcycle career went away? You had to go architecture.
My dad was a builder. Right. Emigrated from the Netherlands.
Oh, really?
But I was born in Australia.
Huh.
So he built houses, right, and did the framing and the brickwork and the concrete work, stuff like that. So my summer camp was the construction site from an early age. So I knew I wanted to be an architect from about the age of 5. And back in the day, you know, the builder would get a roll of drawings from an architect to bid on, right, to do that. And so I would take the drawings and I would take my Derwent pencils, that's the Australian equivalent of Prismacolor, and I would colour them in.
Oh.
I thought they were beautiful, and I would colour them in. And then when you give your bid, you'd have to give the drawings
back, yeah.
And there'd be these coloured drawings, right? And eventually I ended up working for one of the architects later when I was at university, for one of the architects for whom I coloured drawings. So he gave me a job. I must have done all right colouring. Yeah.
Those colored rendering started early.
Right. So I had a lot of background in construction. I would say not so much in design. Okay.
When I don't want to keep saying, oh yeah, I'm so similar, but my dad was also a contractor, and I grew up the same sort of thing. But and when I went into architecture school, I wanted to go to that education just to be a better contractor. I thought that's what I would be.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. And then I got about 2 weeks in after my horrific cut experience and was like, architecture is so much more exciting than this construction.
Yeah.
But you recognized early on that, okay, there's building, but then I want to be an architect.
Well, I think that happened more well, not necessarily, because at the age of 16, I did design a beach house for the family, and it was a big A-frame structure with a concrete block which had the bedrooms and bathrooms interpenetrating into it. So I guess I had some notion about, you know, architecture, or about sort of sculptural qualities of things. But anyway, but mainly, you know, I knew about construction. And that's how made money to pay for going to university. I remodeled, old houses, townhouses in near the university. Julie?
Yeah, Julie, how did you get into architecture?
My father couldn't change a light bulb, so completely different background. Grew up in a Orthodox Jewish family, and it was a really nice, tight community.
In Melbourne?
In Melbourne.
Yeah.
He was outer suburbs, I was in the suburbs.
Ah.
And he was in the, he made ladies' underwear.
Oh, nice.
Go to school and tell people what your father did was not the easiest thing when you were a sixth grader, right? What does your father do? Well, he makes ladies' underwear. Okay.
Show you this catalog.
Yes. But anyhow, he was great. But I had no idea what I wanted to do. By the time I was at the end of high school, searching around for what it was, I loved the idea of art, but didn't feel strong enough in that. I loved the idea of liberal arts, but didn't want to write essays all day because they were hard for me. And some math teacher I had said, go and have a look at architecture. Went to the architecture school, and the guy there who had a club foot, but was like an early adopter on computer-aided applications. We're talking in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
And
Punch cards.
Yeah.
punch cards.
Punch card, yeah.
Punch cards. I mean, we're trying to work out how to get a formula into a thing. And it was took a lot more space. It's like AI centers. That's how big it took to do a tiny little operation with a bunch of punch cards.
Right,
The room was huge. All these machines with discs that span around had to be air conditioned. All of this stuff.
Yeah.
The energy it used was insane. But okay, back to the story. So he said, you don't have to choose to be an architect. It's just a really good general education. And it's like, oh, okay, I can do this. And I got in, and I don't think I was really committed to it till after. We have a 5-year program at that time. After the third year, you had to do a year of practice. And I don't think I actually really got it until after that third year. So I know a lot of people start with the skill. He had the skill set, drawing thing. He understood how things fit together from his experience with construction. I knew nothing. And it took me a while to learn it. And I just sort of a shout out for those who are slower starters. That doesn't mean that you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And one of the best stories here is that when Julie did that 1 year of working, she worked in the public works department. They were designing schools, okay? And then Julie said, I'd love to go and see the construction site. And they're like, what? You want to go? This is going to be a problem. They've never had a woman on a construction site, right? And so they went back and forth on it.
Took 3 months.
The big issue was, they had the porta potties, but how's a woman going to use a porta potty? They resolved that. And then I love the story about the first time on the job site, the foreman rounds the crew and says, listen, this is a historic moment. We actually have a female on the construction site. So just be respectful and there'll be no fucking swearing.
So did you feel that a lot in your class? What was the percentage of women there?
10%.
10%.
And less at the end.
But there are a lot of women on the faculty, which was interesting.
Unusual faculty.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point of not really getting into it until maybe the third year, I do feel it seems like everybody sort of has that semester where all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's architecture, right? And it took me till the last of my second year to have a professor that did that. And when I thought I had all these cool skills, and I thought, but then once you have that epiphany, it's like, oh, no, that's not right. What was sort of the pedagogical bent of the school at that time when you were there, or what did it kind of push you towards?
Okay, so the school, it was, like we said, 5-year program. We got into a lot of the technical aspects.
So the difference in Australia to here is you come out of high school with physics, math, and chemistry, at a level that you were actually doing in first year college here.
Okay.
It may have changed again because I don't understand how the advanced stuff worked, but they assumed you had all that. So you went into classes that were much more in depth relative to what physics you were taught, what chemistry you were taught, materials science. We spent a lot more time in those disciplines than kids get to spend these days.
But at the end of when we graduated, a bunch of us, you know, we said, well, we felt something lacking, right? We felt we didn't have a very strong design education that way. And so the group of us started a little club. It was called the Halftime Club. After, you know, Australian rules football, you have the halftime, you know, where the coach assesses what's going on and and yeah. So halftime club, and what we would do is meet in a pub once a month, and we'd bring in a practitioner that we liked and have them talk to the students because we felt we needed, you know, you finish school and then all of a sudden you're not talking about design anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You know, worried about the bathroom details.
Exactly.
So it grew. It was very popular. It grew to such an extent that we actually had overseas guests coming and doing that. And out of that, a magazine started called Transitions, which was an interesting magazine. And then one of the guys started a radio program there when FM started. So yeah, so he did that. So it was really kind of an interesting after school filling the gaps.
When you're really able to take that and create something of your own. I mean, and then from there you both went to UCLA. Is that right?
Yeah, we went to UCLA. And the growth of the halftime, we left a year after graduating, right?
Okay.
So we were at the beginning of all of that stuff happening, and then we left. And we had not been overseas. So Australia is a long way away. And there's sort of a thing that you do your big travel trip, go for a year after you finish university or during. We'd not done the during university. So we wanted to work overseas. There was a worldwide recession, and we were trying to work out where to go that was English speaking. And I think you came up with the idea is why do we go to school if we can't work out how to get a job? And we ended up at UCLA.
And I mean, LA was a pretty exciting time architecturally then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Late 70s or early 80s. Like,
yes.
Was that definitely was that kind of crowd influential in the halftime kind of?
You know, not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
They were looking east more. There was a real fascination with Venturi, and that group was the hottest.
In LA.
No, in Melbourne. Yeah,
If
yeah.
you were looking overseas, that's it.
Listen, back then, to find out information about universities, right? You'd go to the library and you'd have some out-of-date books about stuff, and then you had to send a letter to get an application form, right? I mean, it's not like, you know, you go online.
Check their Instagram.
So we only ended up applying to two schools.
Research was pretty sloppy, put it that way.
Yeah.
That'd be fair?
Absolutely fair. So anyway, but we ended up at UCLA. I got to say, the first 3 months I was in LA, they get me a ticket home. This is really weird place, really strange. And then by the end of the 2-year program, it was like, this place it's fantastic. There's so many opportunities for architects.
What were the major things in the beginning of like, I got to get back home? What were the just the weirdness of it, or?
My father-in-law, his father, put us up said, look, you're going there, and he put us up in a little hotel in Beverly Hills, and the opulence, the wealth was staggering for me, and I'm like, I don't know if I can handle this stuff.
Yeah.
So we talked about the motorbike. Down the road was a Stutz car, which were those. It was a tradition of roadsters that they were still building at that time. You looked in that window and he said, I can't take it anymore. Went back to the hotel room and went to bed.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. So I forgot, when was SciArc founded?
A little before that.
A little bit before that.
Little 70s.
Yeah.
So and those guys mostly spun off from UCLA.
I don't know exactly. Actually, no, Ray Cadley spun off from Cal Poly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the instigating vision. And then others joined him. That was Tom Bain, Mike Rotundi, and others.
Yeah.
And I've got names wrong, but I think that's right.
Right. But it was just but it was still that charged kind of energy of the time.
No, LA, the thing about LA was that the sensibility of being free to do whatever you want was very, very strong there. And I think that's what attracted a lot of artists. It was fairly cheap to live. The weather was good. And you didn't have to belong to a group that had a certain point of view. And that sense of independence was very much valued by the folks who worked there. And you caught the bug. And once you realize, coming from tight families in Australia, it was like, wow, I can do what I want here and no one will know. That was kind of great.
Right.
So
you can make as many mistakes as you like.
Yeah.
I mean, we come from families where they would say, well, really? Why are you doing that? That's a strange color. That's a strange shape. So it was like liberating to be able to experiment. The other social dimension was that there was clearly the city had come to a point where it had to fill in, not grow out. Not that it did stop growing out. And that really fascinated us. And then we fell into things that were...
We also had the Olympics
Oh, right.
in 84.
Yeah.
So one of our earliest jobs was somebody asked us to do a little addition to their house, right? Because they wanted they were allowed to do it was multi-family zone, so they were allowed to do. And their goal was we're going to rent it out during the Olympics and make a fortune. And it didn't happen because during construction, somebody walked in, construction site, barefooted, and said, "Oh, this is fabulous! I want to rent this," and they rented it to him, and that person stayed for, I don't know,
10 years.
10 years or something. And anyway, and the couple that we did it for ended up becoming our best friends.
Oh, that's funny.
Right. So yeah.
But the other thing we discovered here at university was we thought we'd come to get design courses, and what we found out actually is we needed more information more than we needed design courses. So we did some great studios, yes, but we also joined a class run by a guy called George Stoney, who also worked closely with a guy called Bill Mitchell.
Yeah.
And these guys were sort of pioneers in design algorithms. And not that you could do a design algorithm on a computer, but you could actually go through the steps manually. And so we spent 2 years looking at design algorithms, which was an incredibly enlightening stuff. So we were very early adapters of the idea that computers weren't going to screw us over. They could be empowering. We got into a lot of trouble.
Yes, we did a 3D algorithm to generate Frank Lloyd Wright prairie houses.
Oh, really?
So we did that, and the test was could we generate one, a new one, right? So we did, and then we drew it up
But people would believe
by
it was my
hand.
friend,
Yeah,
right?
drew by hand,
Yeah.
just like those ones, and then that was part of our presentation at the end, and then people were like really pissed. Really infuriated. You can't do it. It's immoral.
This is
And,
a 1980.
and this is before. This is not with a computer.
No, we
right?
did it by
So,
hand.
It is
Yes.
by hand. But
Yeah.
so what does that even look like? Like, what does that algorithm spit out for you that then gets translated to a drawing?
Basically, it was establishing the sort of form of that of the building, the house,
Yeah.
right? And we generate, we could generate 400 different forms that would all comply with the idea of Frank Lloyd Wright prairie houses, and then we took the stuff and decorated it. Let's say
Right.
with the right sort of windows.
Yeah, but it's essentially generating sort of arrangements and
Yes.
overall proportions.
Right.
And
Yes,
forward-
proportions.
But you've got to develop, this is very primitive days, so anything that you did that was, we were the first 3D attempted this.
Yeah.
There were 2Ds before us, talking about ice ray patterns, other kinds of things. But the real core part of it was using visual rather than instructions, basically. So you have, it was to do with the spatial relationships between things and the vocabulary elements of the form.
It was a parametric form, so that there was some, but within certain
This
parameters.
is all ancient history.
But,
It's
I love
so
it.
primitive.
Yeah, right.
But somebody else who was at UCLA took what we did for prairie houses and then modified it to do Usonian houses, right? Which was interesting that you could kind of take that, because there was a fabulous quote, and I'll probably screw this up, but Frank Lloyd Wright actually said that a good architect has to have a grammar of their own, right? Or if they don't have a grammar of their own, they need to borrow someone else's, right? And the thing was called shape grammar, so that was the connection.
But all of that evolved. I mean, it was really funny. It was, I think, the software that allowed for manipulation on the computer of shapes to forms is what turned people's attention to it as an exciting tool to design. But that's not how we got to it at all.
Well, that's fascinating, and especially then of when you graduate in that other period of, okay, we graduated, now what's next? And you have all this really cutting edge stuff, but you're doing some additions to a house for the Olympics. Like, what is that?
First PC computer that was available in 1981. And a dot matrix printer. I mean, we were pretty sophisticated.
Nice.
Oh, no, that was a colleague at UCLA, and he said, "Look, let's buy one of these. I'll write programs. We'll make a fortune." Well, it never happened, but we had the first PC. I wish I had it today. It would be a museum piece.
Well, and how are you? Did you started the firm right away when you graduated?
Let's talk about immigration.
Oh yeah, please.
Yes, that's right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So what happened was we came in as students, and we could get to get residency here. We needed to. We could not work for another firm. We had to work for ourselves. So we were sort of stuck. That was the kind of conditions between being a student and getting a green card. So we could not work for other people. So we were forced to open our own practice.
Forced to learn it all by yourself. Yeah.
And we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We had to get a H-1B visa.
We did it as an H-1B.
Yeah, we got a H-1B.
Yeah.
Basically sponsoring ourselves because we had anyway. But yeah, so the interesting thing about a H-1B, because they exist today, right, but if you're an architect, you need a license. So I had to do the licensing exam, and it was either pass or be deported.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. But if you were a computer science where you don't need a license or interior designer, right? You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So you're at a disadvantage.
Huh.
You're going to have to edit a lot of this because
But
This is all gold. I love it. No, yeah. And again, I don't want to keep saying, "Oh, me too." But my wife and I also we graduated in 2009. There was no jobs, and we started a firm right away and knew
because
nothing.
there's no other option. Yeah.
And we got this hot dog restaurant and paid another architect to redline our drawings and blah blah blah. But so how did you had this new first computer? You had your algorithms. How were you able to start kind of pushing that into practice, or did you?
So we started at UCLA. They did this program. At that time, they were just introducing the idea of subway coming in.
For the Olympics, or
No, the subway was being introduced because there was no public transportation.
No, right. So they're doing this.
Except buses.
So they created this. I think they called it the student studio.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. But Larry Halprin and Barton Myers and who else was doing this thing? Anyway, what they wanted to do was okay, subway's going to go into a certain area. What policies could you do, right, so that you get a positive benefit out of the subway, introduction of a subway station, right? And we ended up, so people selected different locations. We actually selected the Fairfax Avenue, which was the sort of the Jewish street in there. And so we ended up going and meeting folks who were trying to improve the street. Okay. So
It was a little bit down at heel.
yeah, it was. It was very down the heels. Anyway, so we graduated and we said, oh, these people are doing this stuff. They're all a bunch of planners and they don't have any real visual sense. So we went to them when we graduated and said, look, listen, we really think we could be of benefit to you guys. Okay. So let's just do some stuff for you pro bono for a few months and see if we add value. And if we add value, then, we'd like you to put us on a retainer.
We're 26 or something.
Yeah, right. So we do that. And it was fantastic. I mean, and we have drawings that we drew by hand of the street, both sides, they're like 12 feet long or something, and put forward suggestions of what they could do stuff. One of the members of the board of the group doing it owned the farmers market.
Which you may, if you've gone to LA, it's one of the places people like to go. It was an informal market off the back of trucks. It became formalised in the post-war.
In the Depression, they would let...
That was actually pre-war, yeah.
In the Depression, they would let farmers park their truck and sell vegetables.
Yeah.
So they started doing this. And then they said, well, you know what? We need to build some bathrooms. Okay. So they built some bathrooms. And they go, we should build some structures for shade. Okay, that's great. He said, we need some other entertainment here. So they built a ball field. And they go, okay, let's build a
drive-in movie theatre.
Miniature racing track. All these things.
And this was all before you, or you guys?
This was before us.
We then came into Invisible Men in the market because they needed to
No, what happened was he said to us, hey, listen.
I told you we'd fight.
Listen.
There we go. That was spicy.
The farmers market. I mean, we have a problem. The architect we've been using for decades died. Can you help us out? Because we have some work that we needed to do. And we're like, okay, sure, why not? So yes, that was
a beginning of a regular sort of income.
Yeah, for a decade.
We're also supplementing that because at UCLA, I cross over to the planning school as well. I was interested in those kind of issues, and a number of the people there ended up being in the first group of, folks who started not-for-profit housing corporations because money was being redirected from the feds, not through HUD, but directly to communities. So we had these inventive people were my friends in the architecture school or in the planning school. And so they had a problem, and we'll show it in the talk later today. The very first project we did to them, which was to get them out of some legal tangle and rent control issue that they had on one of their projects. So it was kind of, we did that and then hand built things. So we had design build. You have a garage and you want it to be a studio? Sure, we can do that. So it was like all of these prongs, and we didn't care what we did, and we would talk to anybody who came by and whatever, and it grew from there.
Yeah. And were you able to keep up that sort of halftime idea of building community and talking and you were too busy?
We were really fortunate at UCLA because Charles Moore was there, and he and Bill Mitchell,
a great mentor of ours, he at the end.
That's right. They were writing a book called Poetics of Garden.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Poetics of what?
Gardens.
Oh, guns.
Gardens.
Oh, gardens.
Gardens, not guns.
Yeah, I was like, that took a different
That's
turn
not
for
a bad
Charles
book,
Moore there.
yeah. I think that's coming out in Texas.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they had Bill Turnbull doing some of the drawings. But Bill then went out and said, look, guys, I know you guys draw pretty well because we were drawing this Frank Lloyd Wright algorithm thing. And he said, look, we need more drawings. And would you be interested in drawing this stuff? And we go, oh, sure. So then they gave us a little private office and we'd be drawing all these wonderful drawings for this book.
Had they done Sea Ranch yet?
Yeah, they had done Sea Ranch.
Okay.
We got to do some really exciting ones like Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we learned that in the drawing, to demonstrate people are happy, their hands are up in the air.
Nice.
But Villa d'Est or in England, we did a couple of those wonderful
Sissinghurst.
Sissinghurst, etc. So we had to do a lot of research and do that.
Really well.
And then we went on a trip and visited, right, on our own nickel. I mean, but what a great excuse to go to places that you don't know about, except you had that opportunity. But by that time, we were big boosters of LA. Like, we were enjoying it. And so whenever they were trying to attract a new faculty member.
I was teaching there at the time.
Oh, okay.
Faculty member, so they'd go, listen, Joe Rickworth's like coming over and he's thinking about coming and staying. Listen, could you guys take him to see Ray Eames at the Eames house? Right? Because he wants to go and see it and talk to Ray. And we're like, sure. Right? He said, so just speak how great LA is, right? So we go and we'd have tea and scones with
But
Ray
hold on,
Eames.
we borrowed a friend's Dodge convertible to take him around.
Oh, nice.
We were trying to give him the full experience.
Yeah.
This guy is not Rain of Bannon, an Englishman.
Oh, yeah.
Really got LA.
Right.
Yeah.
Rickworth was offended by it.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't anything he could say.
Yeah.
But the tea and scones with Ray Eames was fantastic. And she was remarkable because you met her once and she remembered you.
Really?
So I bump into her at school sometimes because she'd come up to UCLA and she'd say hello and ask how you doing. Incredible woman.
That's good.
One of all-time favourite houses. I mean, people say, where would you like to live? I'm sorry, I'd like to live in the Eames house.
Yeah. Yeah, seems like it.
But we got to pick up from the airport. You know, we'd be the pickup people. In the Dodge Dart, we'd pick up Michael Graves, Joseph Vargas.
Hans Holland.
Hans Holland.
Hans Holland?
Oh, yeah, it was really... And
With his Louis Vuitton luggage.
and the discussion would always be, oh, great, this is great. Are you ever planning to go to Australia? Because if you are, right, we could connect you up with some folks. That was the half-time.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 That connector. I mean, it just seemed like such an exciting time again there. And
there's Frank Gehry, and the experimentation he was doing fearlessly was incredible to watch. So, to a certain extent, both Frank and Charles Moore were humanists, and that was one of the big lessons we took. And you could be eccentric and humanist. You could have joy and do stuff. So it was a sort of the straitjacket of being sensible was removed.
yeah, especially in LA, right?
Yeah.
And
They did so UCLA had a group called Urban Innovations Group, right? And that was set up so that faculty members, if they had a project, right, they could utilise the services of Urban Innovations Group to work on the project for them. Right, it was a really interesting practice arm, right, of the university. So they were doing a competition for Rand Avenue. Now this is they had obviously Charles Moore and Larry Halpern and Frank Gehry,
Barton Myers,
Legaretto, right, working on this thing out of their office, and they would bring students in. And the best part was to do the final presentation books. They needed 13 copies, coloured. And so we had to do colouring lessons so that we could colour properly.
with all your experience from
way back.
And
they brought in, what's in it? Deborah Sussman, who's a graphic designer, doing the book, and said you'd sit down and you'd have to colour 45-degree angles, stroke, and get it just so. Oh, that was brilliant. And we're like, we're graduate students, and we're at kindergarten.
Yeah, but I still feel like that sometimes in Illustrator or something, just painting, but yeah.
Yeah.
we got to get out of the 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I was going to say, you brought up the talk a little bit. Give us a little preview of sort of how you've structured it and kind of what we're going to see.
So there was, I think the theme of the conference was power. So we thought, we're sort of joking around and saying, you got to have superpowers. So we called the talk Superpowers. and then tried to analyze the things that have helped us pursue the kind of architecture that we thought could contribute to the conversation. We don't believe in a moral high ground that there's one way to do it, but here's a set of strategies that we've been using to do it and what we've been exploring. And we start with a couple of education buildings. So one of the superpowers that architects have is they can help rethink education. And Mark this morning talked about how he was helping to in the school that he showed. And then the other two, one project that is I guess it's equivalent to a student commons, which is called Student Pavilion at Melbourne University. So we got to go back one time and work on that. And then a school in Malibu we just finished. And then we sort of track through housing, because we know housing is an issue here in Colorado. It's clearly an issue across the country, and very much an issue in California. So we sort of tracked using density as a calibrator, starting at lowest density, moving to about 160 units an acre, 180 units an acre, with different examples and different typologies, to sort of say, what are the things that come up? And then the conclusion of the lecture is like, what are the most frustrating things that we've come across? And we only allowed to choose three, so we had to argue about what they would be. We have three things that are the most frustrating things, impediments to good design, and then three strategies to counteract that. And then three strategies of how you can change the system. In other words, sort of calls to action that are outside of the actual making or designing of the building. Kind of like serving on planning commissions and committees, so you actually change the rules.
Yeah.
And he did that for a long time. He was on the planning commission.
Yeah.
For 8 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a little preview of maybe of one of those kind of threads through the three different things of how you've been able to make a difference going in a different
So
direction.
here we start, again, this goes back to this humanist stuff, an interest in how people feel welcome. My father got to 8th grade, and he was never comfortable in institutional settings. So I've always been curious about how you make people feel comfortable and what that means. So we started looking at those issues and trying to analyze how they impacted the kind of moves you could make with physical things. I mean, some of them are easy, and we know, but we forget that they're part of that thing, transparency, so you can see what you're going to get into, right? We think that informality is huge to attract a larger group. People with money, power, and education, comfortable in most places. People without it are intimidated.
Right.
And so it's like, if you make more informal, you can actually cross over to a certain extent the expectations of different demographics and different experiences. Again, it's not a judgment. It's about inclusivity. It's about making things more open to more people. Don't worry, I'll never be asked to design a wall. We'll never be asked to design a wall for Trump. That's not where we work. We really like the buildings of everyday life that make a difference in communities. So small moves that have a big impact. And we started with that. And that's how we approach, I think, every building we've designed. How it comes at it always from a technical, and I can be the system kind of mentality. And that's the other thing that sort of threads through and what we've done to be the system. Even if it's just opportunistic.
Yeah. Which project of your portfolio do you feel like most sort of sums that up, or where you're able to?
So different projects do different things.
Yeah.
And we're a very flat office. And it's not just that. We're not the designer. We're part of a group of people who design these buildings. We have a great set of partners, Brian Lane and Nathan Bishop, and principals, including Trey Foster, who's down here in Denver. And they all contribute to this vision. And then there's all the people who buy into the vision and make it happen. So this is not a single person effort. We never really wanted a single person kind of practice. So that you'll see variety in the format. We'd like that.
Yeah.
But I think our biggest contribution to our practice is a philosophy of humanism, philosophy of inclusivity, and actually having some joy in the buildings that seem to. Have I missed something?
Well, it's really about dignity of the user experience. I think that's really important to us. Is what happens? How do they feel about it, as opposed to necessarily people just looking at it
Yeah.
from afar.
Well, it's interesting you saying that there's no single design vision or no design vision. It's horizontal, but it's that philosophy, right, that you guys have established as the overall thing that everybody can feed back into.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult.
Too much.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because we like to think we don't have a design style, and you'll see that that really the way the look of the building is generated from what the building needs to be, its context, and what the use is. That way, so it's not like we go, well, that's Michael Graves' building,
Right. But with your work, I do see it as it has those practicalities, but then I mean, just like you guys sitting here, there's these there's always this kind of pops to it, right? And it's snappy, but not in a way that's a snap for a snap, right? It seems like you're able to take advantage of opportunities and rethinking things in a slightly different way.
We've got smart people who are doing it with us.
Right.
We get bored easily.
Mm-hmm.
So we've never really wanted a practice that was about doing the same thing over and over again. If each project didn't add something to the body of knowledge of what we've done before, it's not that much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it can be knowledge that's to do with technical knowledge, primarily, with more knowledge of design. Sometimes you get both, oftentimes you get both together. But that is, I think, another driver in practice. And so that's how we wanted to operate. That's a choice. That doesn't make you the most profitable business on the planet, but we sure have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I know that you guys have to go in a second here, but it's so interesting talking about sort of from the analog algorithms and the punch cards to now where we are here,
With
right?
AI
And
stuff.
so far, what gets you guys the most excited thinking about the rest of your career and and the kind of the future?
I want to step back a little and see where others are going to take it. I feel more that I'm moving into an observe phase rather than an instigate phase.
Yeah.
I've still got a lot to say, but I've taught for a long time, on and off, and it's a lot of fun to put out an idea. I'm good at putting out ideas, and then seeing what other people bring back to it, and where you can then take it, because that opens up new doors.
Yeah.
So it's about keeping the input fresh and always inquisitive and inquiring. That's what I want to be. I want to watch as that happens.
Nice. Within this platform that you
Yeah.
created, and no argument there. Yeah.
no argument. Sorry, no argument.
No argument?
No argument.
No argument. Well, good.
Are you sick?
This altitude's getting too. No, I just thank you for coming to the conference and for sitting down with me here, and it's been a real joy. So thank you. Yeah.